Hello everyone, I'm back, and today we are going to talk about another Space Marine detachment. This time, the Librarius Conclave. This is the detachment that is mostly built around Psykers and units led by Psykers. All in all, these are the detachments that are utilizing the psychic or magical capabilities of Space Marines. And for that reason, you are not going to be surprised about the extensive amount of librarians that this detachment needs. But let's check out gameplay-wise. First of all, since this detachment is for the Space Marines, you will have the universal ability of Space Marines, Oath of Moment. At the start of your command phase, you can select one enemy unit, and until the start of your next command phase, when you are attacking this unit, you can reroll all hit rolls with your Space Marine units. So if you want to focus down something, choose it as your Oath of Moment target, also known as Oath target. It's a really good tool. It makes your shooting and fighting much more effective, because you will almost always hit. Okay, we saw the universal rule. Now let's check out the detachment rule. Psychic Disciplines. This is a flexible rule, which can come in handy in any situation. At the start of the battle round, you can select one of the Psychic Disciplines, and until the end of the battle round, that Psychic Discipline will be active for all of your Adeptus Astartes Psyker units. Two things to note here. First of all, you select it at the start of the battle round, so it is a really good option because it will provide you with some kind of a benefit even if you are not starting the round. So if you know you will not start and you want to survive the first round or the round because you're holding a good position, you chose a defensive one. If you start and you can reach the enemies that you want to kill, you choose an offensive one. It is really great. But do not forget, it's not working all of your units, just the Adeptus Astartes Psykers. And here is the quick interaction. You have 3 Psykers, usually, for Space Marines. Librarian in Terminator armor, Librarian in Phobos armor, and in some cases, you have the named characters. For example, Tigerius for the Ultramarines, or Ezekiel for the Dark Angels. But mostly you have the 3 types. These models, characters, librarians, are Psykers. And you can attach them to units, the bodyguard units. For example, the Terminator Librarian to Terminator Squad or Deathwing Knights, and things like that. And since you attach the Psyker to the unit counts as Psyker. Just saying this to clarify, it not only buffs the librarians, but the whole unit. That is the librarian attached to. We have Psychic Disciplines. And do not forget, you can choose one of these at the start of a battle round. Let's check out what are these. Biomancy Discipline. You can add 2 to the movement characteristic of the models in this unit. So you will be faster. Great stuff. Mobility will give you options, and options will win you games. Next one, Divination Discipline. Each time when a model in this unit makes an attack, it can reroll the hit rolls of 1 and reroll the wound rolls of 1. This is a really great damage multiplier. Probably this is one of the best disciplines with the Biomancy, so these are my 2 favorites. Let's check out the next one, Pyromancy Discipline. Each time when a model in this unit makes a ranged attack against an enemy unit that is within 12 inches, you can add 1 to the armor penetration characteristic of that attack. Basically, if the enemy is closer to you, you can kill it much easier. Extra damage output, always welcomed. Let's check out the next one, Telekinesis Discipline. Each time when a ranged attack targets a unit that is affected by this discipline, you can subtract 1 from the strength characteristic of that attack. This one is not that great, but in some cases can come in really handy. Sometimes that 1 strength can make a difference, but in other times it will be just not worth it. Okay, let's check out the last one, Telepathy Discipline. Each time when a model in this unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to your hit rolls, either by shooting or by melee. This is really great against units that have tricks to make you shoot worse or fight worse. For example, great against Death Guard or against Eldari shenanigans. So you're not always going to use this one, but against some armies it can be a game changer. So nice to keep it in mind. Let's check out the next one, Enhancements. First one, Prescience. You can give this to an Adeptus Astartes Psyker unit, except units that are in Terminator armor. So, in our case, the Terminator Librarian is the exception. Once per turn, when an enemy unit ends a normal or advance or fallback move within 9 inches of the bearer's unit, the unit can make a normal move up to d6 inches. Or, if your Divination Discipline is active, then your unit can make a flat 6-inch movement. That is really great. I especially like this one with the Phobos Librarian. If the enemy is coming too close, you can save yourself from a potential charge or even from shooting. But that's because the ability of the Phobos Librarian, we will talk about that later. Let's check out the next one. Celerity. For 30 points. You can give this again to an Adeptus Astartes Psyker unit. The bearer's unit is eligible to declare charge in a turn which it advanced. But if your Biomancy discipline is active, you are eligible to declare charge with this unit even if you fell back in this turn. Great mobility. Probably this is the best on some kind of a melee unit or a blob of Terminators. I like this one. Next one, Obfuscation. For 20 points. Again, you can give this one to an Adeptus Astartes Psyker unit. Enemy units cannot fire Overwatch against the bearer's unit. That's great. However, if the Telepathy discipline is active, then enemy units cannot shoot at your unit with ranged attacks if they are more than 18 inches away. So it can be some kind of a protection against big guns, or at least you can limit who can shoot your unit. It's a nice to have thing, but I wouldn't give this to a unit that will go into the middle of the table, because then it will be probably useless. Okay, let's check out the next one. Fusillade. For 35 points. This is a really steep point cost. But what do you get for this one? You can give this to an Adeptus Astartes Psyker model. Ranged weapons that equipped by the bearer's unit will have the anti-monster 5+ and the anti-vehicle 5+ abilities. So you will be critically wounding monsters and vehicles on a 5+. That is okay. In the top of my head, I don't think I can find an especially good candidate for this weapon, for this enhancement. Because all of the weapons are either have low armor penetration or their strength is high enough to wound them on a 5+ anyway. So can be good with probably Sternguard veterans who have devastating wounds on their weapons, but I don't think this one is worth it. However, it has 2 additional buffs that are working with disciplines, if the matching one is active. First one, if the Pyromancy discipline is active to your army, then this ability also gives you sustained hits 1. Or, if your Telekinesis Discipline is active, then you can add 6 inches to the range characteristic of the weapons of this unit. Okay, so there is some potential in this one, but probably I would skip it unless I have exactly 35 points and I can spend it on anything else. Let's check out the stratagems. Sensory Assault. For 1 command point. You can use it in your command phase. You can target one Adeptus Astartes Psyker unit from your army. Select one enemy unit that is within 18 inches to a Psyker model in that unit and visible for that model. Until the start of your next turn, that enemy unit is considered to be pinned. Your enemy has to subtract 2 from its move characteristic and it has to subtract 2 from its charge rolls. It's a good movement block. However, if your Telepathy discipline is active, then that unit also have to make a Battle Shock test with -1. All in all, this is a good tool, and it's even great if you can cause a Battle Shock. However, the Battle Shock part is more like a surprise tool that can come in handy, but mostly it won't. But still, it will instill fear into the heart of your enemy. Maybe you can Battle Shock a unit that is on an objective or making an action, and then you deny points from your opponent. Or just make them slow enough to they have no chance to reach you. Both of them are great. Okay, let's check out the next one. Armor of Contempt for 1 command point. You can use this in your opponent's shooting phase or in the fight phase. You can use it when an enemy unit is selected its target. And if that target is an Adeptus Astartes unit, you can use this stratagem on them. What does it do? Until the end of this attack sequence, so all of the melee attacks or all of the shots has been spent by the unit, you can worsen their armor penetration characteristic by 1 until the attacks are hitting your unit. All in all, it's a really great tool to help your unit to survive some attacks or shots in the critical moment. But do not forget, it is nerfed, so it do not last for the whole phase, it only lasts for the end of the attack sequence. Let's check out the next one. Fiery Shield for 1 command point. You can use this in a fight phase. After the enemy unit is selected its target, you can use it on one of your Adeptus Astartes infantry or mounted units, but it has a criteria. If you target one of your units, there has to be a friendly Adeptus Astartes Psyker nearby within 18 inches from the unit that is targeted. Okay, what does this stratagem do? Until the end of the phase, each time when an attack targets your unit, you can subtract 1 from the hit rolls. That's a cool survival tool. However, if your Pyromancy Discipline is active, then all of the enemy weapons will be hazardous. And that is the spicy part, because each weapon that your enemy have attacked with in melee will be dangerous for them too. So for each weapon, you roll 1d6, and on a 1, it either kills a model or inflicts 3 mortal wound to the attacking model. And that can hurt a lot. All in all, it provides you with a little bit of safety and puts your opponent into danger. Great. Let's check out the next one. Iron Arm. For 1 command point. You can use this in the fight phase. You can select one of your Adeptus Astartes infantry units. Again, you have to have a Psyker model nearby within 18 inches. What does this stratagem will give you? Until the end of the phase, you can add 1 to your strength characteristic when you are making attacks with melee weapons, used by that unit that you targeted with it. However, if your Biomancy Discipline is active, you can add 2 to the strength characteristic. All in all, it's not bad. That plus 2 strength, maybe it can tip the scale and you will be able to wound much more reliably, if you are not fighting against the toughest of the tough. Okay, let's check out the next one. Assail. This stratagem is just great. Basically, it is grenade, but with a lots of range. You can use this in the shooting phase by one of your Adeptus Astartes Psyker units that is eligible to shoot. You can select one enemy unit that is visible to you and within 18 inches from your unit. After that, you can roll 6d6. And for each 4+, you can inflict 1 mortal wound to that enemy unit. Cool stuff. However, if your Telekinesis Discipline is active, you can inflict the mortal wounds on a 3+, which just makes it much better. However, one restriction. You cannot target lone operatives with this ability. Sorry, but we can't have it all. And let's check out the last stratagem. Precient Precision. For 1 command point. You can use this in the shooting phase, on one of your Adeptus Astartes Psyker units that has not shot in that phase yet. Until the end of the phase, all of the attacks that you make with your ranged weapons will have the lethal hits ability. So if you roll a 6 on a hit, that will automatically wound the target. That's nice, due to many weapons have lower strength. Next to detachment that are used heavy tanks or many dreadnoughts. However, it's not done yet, because if your Divination Discipline is active for your army, then the Precient Precision will also give you the Ignore Cover ability. So the enemy units that you are shooting at will not receive the benefit of cover, and that's nice. All in all, this detachment will build on Psykers. You will have 3 options basically, either the Librarian, the Phobos Librarian, or the Terminator Librarian. Just a quick run through. They will have okay shooting weapons, not great, and they will have a smite shooting ability. Basically a psychic shooting with a 24 inches range. It is okay, nothing to rave about. It has d6 shots with a strength of 5, 1 points of armor penetration and d3 damage. So it's a little bit swingy. You can have 1 shot, you can have 6 shots, it can deal between 1 and 3 damage. So not reliable, but you have it. Other than that, you are able to overcharge this shooting, then your strength and armor penetration will be better, but it will be hazardous, so you can hurt yourself if you roll a 1 after shooting it, and it will have the ability of devastating wounds, so it can punch through armor and invulnerable save if you roll a critical wound. Their melee capabilities are not great since they are support characters, but sometimes they can punch above their weight. Still a great deal for their prices. And each of the Librarians will provide you defense against psychic damage. Namely, a 4+ feel no pain. So when you take damage from a psychic attack, then your units, led by Librarian, will have a feel no pain. So each damage point that you would have taken, you roll 1d6, and if you roll a 4, 5 or a 6, then you will not take that damage. So it is a really great protection against Eldari or Thousand Suns and anything that uses lots of psychic. But it will be useless against opponents like Tau or Word Eaters. All in all, these are the basic abilities of these Librarians. The only distinction about them is their last abilities. And that the Terminator Librarian is somewhat more survivable due to its Terminator armor. The normal Librarian will provide a 4+ invulnerable save to its unit, so it makes your units much more survivable. Your Phobos Librarian will provide you a defensive bubble, so to say. Basically, If you attach a Phobos librarian to a unit, then that unit cannot be shot from more than 12 inches away, so it protects your guys against shooting. Check it to a group of eliminators, and they can stay up top of the building and shoot whole game, no one will bother them, but they won't do much else. Or there is your last option, the Terminator librarian that can lead Terminator squads, Deathwing Knights, and other chapter-specific Terminators when they will come out. I'm looking at you, Space Wolves. Since he is the toughest, he can go in and cause some ruckus, but mostly buffs your other Terminators with sustained hits 1, so each time when they are shooting or fighting in melee, a hit roll of 6 will score 1 additional hit. Probably it will not change a world, but it will give you more damage and more opportunities. But still, you need this guy because of your stratagems and enhancements and disciplines. So all in all, if you want to play this, you will need a few librarians. It will be an interesting playstyle, mostly considered strong against hordes and lots of infantries, and will have a hard time against dealing with the toughest vehicles or monsters. I wouldn't say this detachment is bad, but one thing for sure, it is not fitting my playstyle. But please, if you have had any successes or great stories with this detachment, please tell me. Maybe it will give me an inspiration or an idea to try to play it other ways, because I see the potential. So, Librarius Conclave, it's not you, it's me who is at fault. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching and listening. If you like what I do, please consider liking, subscribing, or both, or even hit the little bell. And I hope I see you in the next one. See ya!